I've just realised that I am an exceedingly civilised sort of chap. I've always known it, but it was confirmed as I rode into Bolton-on-the-Water on the new Triumph T100 on a chilly afternoon last week. You see, T100 is a bike that will make you feel civilised and refined because it's an elegant package. And before I get into why, here's a bit of info on where it sits in the range. After all, we've had a bevy of new Bonnies announced recently, what with the Street Cup, the Street Scrambler and the Bobber. So the Bonneville T100 sits between the entry-level Street Twin and the T120. It's powered by the Street Twin's 900cc engine and not the 1200cc unit in the T120, but its looks are firmly in T120 territory. It's a bit more basic than the T120, so while it has traction control, it lacks the T120's riding modes and has just a single front brake. At 213 kilos dry, it's also lighter than the T120, which weighs 224 kilos. And how much does it cost? Well, it's £8,600 or £8,300 for the T100 Black. So that makes it cheaper than the T120, which costs £9,800. Back to feeling civilised and refined. There's a reason the T100 made me feel like that, because with styling that tips its hat to the original 1959 Bonnie, it's an elegant package and it apes the original bike silhouette to fine effect. And it's well finished too. Nice details like the brushed aluminium engine covers, bolt-on badges, and the use of chrome on the mirrors, clocks, headlights surround. All these things make it feel worthy of everyone's attention while you sip your tea at your favourite Sunday morning caf. Without doubt, the T100 and I look like a class act as we burble through numerous quaint Cotswold villages, although actually, to be honest, the bike could probably take most of the credit for that. And its looks are matched by a great sound. It's got two little pea-shooter exhausts that give off a deep, lazy burble that gently builds as the engine gets into its stride. It's a bike that sounds like it looks, and it gives off the kind of noise you'd expect to hear from a bike in an old film. So, thanks to its dapper looks and a nice soundtrack, the T100 scores top marks from me when it comes to pottering through town and feeling like a gent. But I'm most partial to making hedgerows rush past in a blur. The 54 horsepower 900cc liquid-cooled 8-valve parallel twin engine starts to deliver its 59 pounds-per-foot of torque as soon as the throttle is opened. So peak torque arrives at 3,230 RPM. That means there's no waiting around. Instead, the T100 shoves you forward on a wave of smoothly delivered grunt. It's a power characteristic that suits the style of bike and is sure to make it a lot of fun in the city. However, although the torque is immediate and easygoing, show the T100 an open stretch of road and it can feel like it runs out of puff too soon. Considering how much this bike costs, 54 horsepower and 59 pounds per foot is a bit disappointing. Braking at the front is handled by a single 2-piston caliper and 3 10mm discs. It gives adequate performance, although the lever does require a bit of a tug before the caliper gets to work with intent, and the front can feel a bit wooden. The T100 handles nicely and it felt stable and confident regardless of whether I was carving along flowing country roads at speed or working my way through a more built up area. That's largely due to the suspension. The KYB forks might be budget items, but they're well damped and supportive, and the front felt neutral, controlled and reassuring. But the twin shocks delivered a few jolts through the seat as they occasionally compressed too quickly over the very worst surfaces and potholes. I'm sure that altering the preload would help dial that out. Grip from the Pirelli's Phantom Sport Comp rubber was also reliable in the dry, wet and cold conditions. The bike has really good slow speed and filtering manners, which it needs to, because when the T100 isn't taking in the countryside at the weekend, its natural habitat is going to be posing in the city. And I've got no doubt that its balance of style and substance will excel there. Unlike on the motorway, where my neck soon began to get tired over 70 miles an hour thanks to the lack of wind protection. Triumph says the T100 has a comfort seat, and after a day on it, I had no complaints. The riding position is comfortable too. The gear lever and rear brake were right where my feet expected to find them, and the high, gently swept back bars also felt nicely to hand, in the same way as a set of imaginary bars would, as if I was acting out riding a motorcycle, if you see what I mean. Anyway, it's a position that creates an excellent feeling of balance and control, and is something that disguises the T120's 213 kilo dry weight, because once on the move, it feels lighter than it is. As an entry into the Bonneville family, the T100 is the most premium offering. It's more than £1,000 more expensive than the Street Twin, but crucially, It feels that bit more special because it's finished to a higher standard and is adorned with many of the T120's quality touches. It's cheaper than the T122, but it still delivers that same Bonneville heritage. Considering its modest power, style has to be the main reason for desiring one, and I dare say that it could tempt a few prospective T120 customers who are more bothered about looks, not power and weight. Either way, there aren't many bikes up there that exude the same kind of class and civility as the new Bonneville T100.